What's up, Adam?
What's up, Peter Martin?
How you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling great.
No, I'm feeling great.
I'm
feeling great because it's Talking Book Stevie Wonder Day on the pod.
That is an all-timer right there.
And you know what that means we got to do?
Yeah, good call.
Exactly.
But Peter, I will say, we are Gen X jazz pianists. Well, I'm an exennial, but that means we have to lop off the 8th beat of this, right?
What does that even mean?
Cut off the 8th beat altogether.
What? Help me out, Caleb, with this. How about a little this?
Yeah, that's on brand.
All right, here we go.
And
I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Music Explored.
Explored, brought to you today by Open Studio. Go to openstudiojazz.com for your jazz lesson needs. Oh, Peter, it's a good day, man.
It's a good day. Come on, we gotta start it out right here.
Oh, yeah. I am very cold because it's a chilly morning here, but it's heating up really quickly.
It is.
Because I'm getting so excited. My blood is pumping.
My blood. I'm underlining the name of the album. That's how important it is.
Oh, it's so good. So today, one of the greatest albums of all time.
Yes.
Stevie Wonder's first masterpiece, I think.
Yeah.
Talking Book. I put Talking Book on par for me with Songs in the Key of Life. I know not everybody feels that way.
Yeah.
But to me, this one is as good and maybe even a little bit tighter and better.
Well, it's one album instead of two albums, so there's that.
Literally no filler on this one. And not that there's filler on Songs in the Key of Life. There's not.
Ugh.
But this one is just such an incredible experience start to finish.
Yeah,
it truly is.
It's an amazing record. And it's also, Music of My Mind, Talking Book, Intervisions, fulfilling this first finale, the classic period, and then of course going into Songs of the Key of Life, which is a little bit the next period. You know, we could quibble back and forth on that, but I think that these records, there's a lot of overlap in terms of when they were recorded, how they were recorded. But yeah, Talking Book is a masterpiece. It's on that kind of, I think, ridiculous Rolling Stones 500 greatest albums because it's listed at 185 or something like that. Like,
So
I don't think there's
stupid.
184 better records than this.
That's impossible. No.
Exactly.
And I know they have, I think they have songs in the Key of Life way up there, maybe even in the top 10. But this should also be in the top 10.
I mean, like,
This is better than anything the Rolling Stones ever made, honestly.
Yeah, and this is also just a super interesting record and a little bit of a time capsule, a little bit of a peek into a very specific part of Stevie Wonder's career. Right after he turned 21, right when he got full artistic control over his musical output. This is not like, his 4th or 5th record. This is his 15th album.
Say again?
15th.
Come on.
Yeah. Actually, it might be his 16th.
How old was he?
No, it was his 15th studio album. He even had some live albums.
Oh, my God.
He was 21.
So at 21, this is his 15th album.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So he had a lot of
Motown really had him working, didn't it?
Yeah. He had a little bit of experience, but he also did some amazing things in terms of pretty much single-handedly. It was his vision, and then he put together a team to negotiate with Motown pretty much what at the time was the best artist record contract ever. I think before that, Ray Charles was sort of notorious for having the best in terms of like owning masters, higher royalty rates than normal. So like Stevie was able to negotiate this.
He deserves all of it.
Yeah. And he had some money even going into this through some savvy moves, apparently, from him and his team. So he was able to kind of just sit and work on music as he was negotiating with Motown to be able to get that better deal.
You know what? It is interesting thinking about it. Back to our Michael Jackson Off the Wall album. It's like we think about the people who grew up as kids in the industry.
Yeah.
Like certainly there's like we think about them as artistically talented because they started working with all these great artists from a young age. But almost all of them too are somewhat industry savvy. Have you noticed that? Like Michael is like buying the Beatles catalog and really like taking control of his career at an early age. Same here with Stevie. That's fascinating, actually.
Yeah. Well, I think Stevie had a lot of different talents. And in researching this, I was, I was not only reminded because I've heard stories about musicians that I know that have played with him. I've got to be around Stevie Wonder just a little bit, but like he has all these different talents beyond just music, even within music. And we're going to hear it on this album because he pretty much plays every instrument on this album. There's some great collaborations that come in, but I mean, it's pretty shocking that about 90% of the instruments and vocals on this album are coming from Stevie.
I'm just going to put it out here. Stevie, we have all of the instruments here in our studio. So if you ever want to come by and play on one of the intro jams, let us know.
Yeah. So today we're exploring Stevie Wonder's Talking Book from 1972. You remember 1972, Adam?
Absolutely.
No, I actually do remember it fondly. I was one.
Me too, man.
I was alive at least, buddy.
I'm eternal. All right, go ahead.
This groundbreaking album marks the moment Stevie Wonder gained complete creative control from Motown at just 21 years old. What many don't realize is that Wonder played nearly all the instruments himself: keyboards, drums, harmonica, bass, and more. Key bass, that is, showcasing his extraordinary musicianship beyond his vocals, in particular on a certain instrument called Tonto. We'll get into that. Tonto. Talking Book was recorded primarily at Electric Lady Studios, also at a place called Media in New York, and then out into the West Coast, which is an incredibly, at the record plant in LA, which is a story more for the coming albums that we won't cover today. The legendary space, the Electric Lady, of course, was built by Jimi Hendrix. I believe he passed away right before Stevie started recording there, and they were kind of looking to bring in other artists and keep the space going. It was a super innovative atmosphere, perfectly matched Stevie's experimental vision. Talking Book brilliantly balances technical innovation with raw emotion, pioneering synthesizer work alongside soul-stirring vocals that span from the tender "You Are the Sunshine of My Life" to the funk masterpiece Superstition. Join us as we discover how these songs continue to influence musicians 50 years later and why Talking Book remains one of the most significant albums in modern history.
Yeah. Well, whole tone scale, Nerd Nook. A little bit later this week.
Yeah.
You are the sunshine of my life.
Not Stevie, by the way.
Exactly. Famously.
That's why I'll always be around.
Still not Stevie. Well, on everything else except the covers.
Not Stevie.
Forever you'll stay in my heart. I feel
Stevie.
the beginning.
Oh man, it's too good.
Though I've loved you for a million years.
Oh man, Stevie's voicing.
If I thought our
On the
love
roads.
was
Oh,
I'd find myself drowning in my own tears. Whoa, whoa, you are the sunshine of my life. Yeah.
voice leading? Is that something that might interest
Get
you?
out of town. I love it.
This is somehow like the greatest wedding band ever, ever assembled.
What are you talking
No, like really high end. Okay, has this song not been played at a lot of weddings?
You and this song need to have a little bit of a moment together.
No, we're having it now. I love this song.
You do not love this
We'll
song.
get to that. And
You must
I love the
have known
execution of this song
that
for
I
sure.
was lonely. Because you came to my rescue. And I know that this must be.
Oh,
How could so much love be inside
but okay, so
of you?
and then we're gonna, of course,
First of all, can I just mention something
Yeah.
here? So a couple of things. So like, how much confidence does it take to start your album with you not singing?
Right.
Two people sing before you.
Right.
Sing the verse before you. Such a cool idea.
Yep.
And I remember the first time I bought this CD back in the day when I was in high school, and I was like,
I had the album, buddy.
is that Steve? That's not Stevie.
Yeah.
And then that moment when he does come in, you're like, oh my God, that's amazing.
For some reason, I missed it for a long time back when I was a youngin', and like I thought it was a duet, and I was always like, "Wow, the female singer, she never really comes back in. It's kind of weird." I just never really thought about it.
So those are the background singers, right?
Yeah, that's Jim Gilstrip and Lonnie Gross, and they're singing backgrounds
Man.
along with Gloria Barley as well.
Could you imagine it? What a great day in the studio where Stevie's like, Jim,
Yeah.
you're starting off the album.
But what a smart kind of a thing. The interesting thing too about this, the sessions that produced all this music, they were not recording an album. They were what ended up being several. There's a lot of overlap between this and Music of My Mind, and they just like there was one weekend where, and we're going to learn about a couple of guys, Robert Margouleff and Malcolm Cecil, who were the co-producers, the inventors of the TONTO synthesizer, and there's a whole story there that's super interesting. But they talked about Stevie, one of the first weekends, he recorded 17 tracks, complete. You know, so it went well beyond this album, and they had to kind of start telling him, why don't you start winnowing it down to an album? And he was also negotiating the contract with Motown, so there wasn't like, I'm delivering an album. He was just making music. He was just in there tracking and creating stuff, and the way it came together is pretty stunning. This track is super unique, not only because somebody else is singing at the beginning of it, it's the beginning of the album, the sound of it, when I said the greatest wedding band ever, like they're playing the same way you wish a wedding band would play this song, you know, with like the spirit and the vibe and the balance. Stevie's like Rhodes playing is par excellence.
Killing the drums.
The drums are killing, which is of course Stevie as well. The only other, and then Scott Edwards is playing bass. This is the only electric bass, non-Moog bass on this whole album.
On this song.
On this song, right?
Stevie's playing Moog bass on the rest
On
of
everything
the,
else.
Wow.
On everything else. This is the only other bass player, so to speak. And it's the only, that's why it's kind of got that different sound. And that's why I think it's such a unique and interesting way to start out the album, because the rest of the album is not this track, you know? And we'll
Yeah.
talk about later if that's a quibble bit or not. I might be changing my mind on that.
Okay, all right. You know, I want to talk a bit about Stevie.
Obviously, this was #1 hit too, pop and
Yeah.
Well,
Grammy Award winning too, right?
yeah, the album. This was a #1 hit for the pop charts,
Yeah.
or the Hot 100, whatever.
Yeah.
And also, guess what other chart it was #1?
What?
Easy listening.
You know why it was #1 on all these things,
Why?
Peter?
On just those two.
Because it's friggin' amazing. That's
But
why.
remember easy listening, because we're going to talk about that later.
I want to talk about Stevie as a drummer real quick.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Stevie as a drummer. So he's playing drums on this whole album.
Yeah.
From what I understand. And one
There's
time,
no other drummers on here.
yeah, when I first discovered this album, then I realized that it was Stevie playing. I asked a really good friend of mine who's a really good drummer. I said, man, is Stevie, like, how do you feel about him as a drummer? When you listen to him play the drums? Because I love it, but I don't know. Does that bug you that he's not and he was like, no. He's like, it's one of my favorite drum performances, this album. He said something I'll never forget. He goes, Stevie is just so fundamentally funky.
Yeah.
Everything he plays feels incredible. And I think that's like really, I mean, he's technically a solid drummer.
Yeah.
But it's just like his sense of groove is so deep and so strong that it just carries whatever, chops that he might not have on the kit, carries into the sense of feel and groove carries into it. And by the way, his chops aren't that bad either. His chops are pretty darn good.
I know. I mean, technically, he's probably like a solid B as a drummer, which is, I mean, at the professional level.
Yeah, at the professional,
musically,
he could have made a career as a drummer if he wanted to. Yeah.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
I mean, conceptually and musically, he's A++++.
That's the thing.
And so if his technique, and actually, I mean, if we think about technique on any instrument as being in service to the music, he's an A. You know what I mean? Because he's able to execute everything he
100%.
wants to do. When we get to Superstition, we're going to get into some really, actually pretty high-level technical stuff that he does at the drums as well. We've got some isolation there for you.
I love it.
Anyway, so that's You Are My Sunshine. The album, as we said, is his 15th studio album. He was 21 years old when he started this.
Ridiculous.
Robert Margouleff and Malcolm Cecil were the producers and engineers. These were the guys behind Tonto's Expanding Headband and also behind the classic Tonto synthesizer, which wasn't even really a synthesizer.
Was that a student short film, Tonto's Expanding Headband?
Man, it was a very trippy electronic. I remember my dad talking about this like in the late, well, he wasn't telling me in the late 60s because I wasn't conceived yet. But it was like a big thing. They were a duo. They'd made very early electronic music and created this Tonto, which is the original new timbral orchestra. We'll have a picture of it here. It's so massive, though. It took up a whole like section of the Electric Ladyland. They ended up moving it around. It's moved all around because it's too big for these.
Now we have that on our phones.
Exactly.
And
It's
more.
sitting in a museum in Calgary. I want to go see it.
That's amazing.
Shout out Canada. But it incorporated like several Moogs. Like basically, you could have, at the time, there was just one voice, monophonic synthesizers, right? And so this thing combined a bunch of different things. They even ran like the clavinets through it, the Rhodes and stuff. It was a whole trippy thing. Tonto's Expanding Headband, which apparently one of them came up with that name when they were tripping out on peyote.
As you do.
Shout out late 60s.
You do. Thank you, late 60s, for Cultural Revolution.
But it was a very interesting thing because they had this studio. Actually, they were at a studio called Media in New York City at first. And Stevie had heard these instruments on several different albums. The Tonto's Expanding Headband, I forget the name of the record, but he had heard that record and he sought them out. Once he got out of his childhood contract, his juvenile contract, whatever they called it, at 21, he's like, okay, I want to do what I've always wanted to do. I'm going to make hits, but I'm going to make hits my way. Actually, I don't even think he was thinking about making hits. He did make hits, but it was like a whole nother thing. And so he wanted to explore all this stuff. So he came to New York and actually just like showed up at their studio. And Malcolm Cecil talks about
you gotta let Stevie in when you
like somebody's knocking at the door at like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's Stevie with his guy there. And he's like, yeah, I want to meet you. I want to learn about these synths and these sounds. I want to record some stuff.
Dave, were you expecting a musical genius here today? No? Well, he's here.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, even though he hadn't gotten to the classic period yet and he was young, he was already a star and known.
Of course.
So he started this relationship with Robert and Malcolm, and like they went through this whole period, like no contracts, no like, how's this going to be released? He didn't have a contract with Motown. It was very organic and just like creating music, and they were both super excited. They were both musicians and engineers as well, Malcolm Cecil and Robert Margouleff. And there's a lot of like deep dive you can do on interviews with them talking about this. But it was a really just interesting thing. So yeah, let's move on now because You Are the Sunshine of My Life. That's a particular kind of sound. Next up on this album, and look, I always think great albums, and Stevie is such a master of this. Like if you listen to them in order, we're going to try to hit. I don't know if we've ever done this. Every track on this album.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So can I just set what I think you're about to say up?
Yes.
So we start with very clean, incredibly sharp sound of You Are the Sunshine of My Life.
And somebody else besides Stevie Wonder
Pop
singing.
song, key of B, which is, by the way, just a very like bright but a little bit nostalgic key.
Yep.
Goes straight into Maybe Your Baby, which is the greasiest, funkiest track on the album. Maybe even more so than Superstition.
Yeah.
Just like an incredible change-up pitch.
Yep.
From like this like beauty, grooving, easy listening.
Yep.
Like Maybe Your Baby is not easy listening.
No. And
Maybe Your Baby smells funny.
it smells funny.
Yeah.
And also the lyrics on this are kind of there's all this sort of like very romantic, very optimistic, and a little bit of political. This is sort of the beginnings of Stevie getting to
Big
his
Brother.
like very
Yeah.
astute political. I mean, Steve, when we talk about him being multi-talented, it's very easy to get caught up in like, yes, because he could play keyboard, he could play drums, he could sing, he could do accents and stuff. But he's also super talented as a spokesman, as a communicator, even when he's not doing it within music, a lyricist, a composer. I mean, it's kind of stunning. But this is one where it's a little bit sharp-edged in terms of relationship between man and woman. Just the vibe, the way this starts. I mean, this couldn't be any more polar opposite to what we just heard.
Yeah, the Moog bass is it makes this album.
Yeah.
It really makes it.
And the way he would control the portamento with the dial. Oh.
I'm feeling down in some kind of lonely. Come on, baby, let me cheat.
I mean, like, so we talked so much about the music and some of the technical things,
Yeah.
but what we haven't talked about quite yet, but is the most important factor, is this is all happening underneath, I think, unquestionably the greatest pop vocalist in the history of the music. When we were just setting up here listening to music, our producer Andy was like, greatest pop vocalist ever? And I was like, I think he must be.
Are we changing the title?
Just because like every note he feels is just has this incredible weight behind it.
Yeah.
Just the first line of Maybe Your Baby is unbelievable.
Yeah, well, when we're talking about technical abilities as a drummer, I'll tell you one thing. Technical abilities as a vocalist are just A++++ off the charts.
Yep.
But also like being able to turn the concepts of phrasing, I mean, beyond just the basics of like sound and intonation and dynamics and all that, control, of course, he's got that, but also being able to turn the way these, I mean, he's got to be the most imitated vocalist by male and female, by every vocalist, right?
100%.
Yeah. But this stuff, and look, he's playing everything on here until you hear the guitar, which is Ray Parker Jr.
Hey,
Ghostbusters.
Who you gonna call?
Shout out.
Ray Parker Jr.
Yeah. And that Moog bass, I know we're listening to this again.
I don't care.
I'm
do
gonna
it
jump
4 or
ahead.
5
No, we
times.
got 10 tracks to get to, buddy. I wanted to jump ahead to like when the guitar comes in. But the groove is being driven not by the drums, it's by the bass and the clav. The dynamics. Oh no, the second. Parker's already in there. That was a little Michael Jackson there.
Slipping deeper into my shell.
Oh, Moog bass.
I can't dig in. Stuff is scaring me to death.
Here we go, come now.
Maybe your baby done made some
That's Stevie on all the backgrounds.
And making me worry.
Say it again.
Man, he's so free on the drums, man. He's just like you would think there'd have to be.
It's so hard to sit here.
I know.
It makes you want to move.
Woo! And they've got that hi-hat mic, it's loud AF. So it's just, incredible stuff. And I would say, too, it kind of goes crazy.
Sally work.
Yeah. I mean, could we just sit here and do that track for the rest of that?
Okay.
Oh, but you know what? Actually, no, I do. We got to jump to the end, though, because it really...
Well, hold on. Save it. I got that.
Oh, is that
Categories later.
Okay, cool. Okay, so that's the second track. Moog bass, clavinet, a bunch of clavinets. I know there's up to 4-layer clavinets along with delay on Superstition. I heard them talking about that, and it sounds like a similar number on this as well.
Ooh, I got chills from that one.
Man, it's you know what's I think the craziest thing about it is like the time is fluctuating like in a beautiful human way.
Yeah.
That's kind of stunning. The groove is so intense, yet he's never just like backbeating on the drum.
that, like-
it's just like oh yeah, I know.
Ugh.
And then they've got like the engineering and the production on this.
Dude.
The three of them really work together.
Those
like,
clavinets sound amazing. I don't know how many are on that track. It's got to be at least 3, right?
it sounds like it. Sounds like I know there was up to 4.
They're just like layered perfectly.
And think about it. It's like the hardest instrument to ever layer. I don't even know how you do. Well, I know how they did. They
Yeah, for
talked
those who
about
don't know, a clavinet, it's a keyboard instrument that has strings. It's like similar to like a harpsichord, but it is a little bit different. At the bottom of the key is like it's almost like a pencil eraser, right? And it presses on the string and sounds it.
It doesn't
So
pluck it though, right?
It doesn't plug it. It hits it and vibrates it.
And then it's electronic.
It's electronic. So
Yeah.
it can sound a lot like a guitar, but it's its own thing. It's famously on a track coming up. You'll recognize probably most famously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got a little time.
We got some time.
Here's number 3. So now we're changing things up again. The balance of how they constructed this album is
This is so
fantastic.
gorgeous. This is so beautiful.
That's the Tonto synthesizer.
Not the piano, all those
Yeah.
pad noises.
Acoustic piano.
His vocal sound here on this track is...
And the bass, I believe, is Moog up pretty high.
We are on earth together.
It's got a delay on his voice.
Yes.
And then something
And
else.
some interesting panning, too.
Yeah. Sam, Andy, does anybody recognize what else that is? Let us know.
This is the most...
All these counter melodies.
Oh, the portamento and slide on it.
It's a cliche to say that harmony is melody, but Stevie proves that with every one of these
Oh, yeah.
tracks.
Will it stay? The love you feel for me. Will it say?
Using mono synths to create this
That you will
polyphony.
be by my side to see me through.
It's so lyrical, those synths. Oh,
Until my life.
I mean, obviously, incredible, beautiful, one of the most beautiful ballads ever written.
Well, in my mind,
Yeah.
we can conquer the world.
All right, we're gonna come back to this. I already know this.
This episode
for a
should be
Desert
5
Island
hours long,
or
Peter. We should
Apex.
listen to each of these tracks 3 times in a row in full.
Yeah, and so there's 2 tracks on here that are just Stevie. I mean, like I say, I think it's 90%, maybe even more, is Stevie on here in terms of playing all the instruments. But the ones where there's nobody else on it, as far as I can tell, is You and I and Big Brother.
Oh, well, and the people
And
who
they're
are
2 of the
on
most
here,
intense tracks, too.
people who are on here are just like, they're not inconsequential by any means, but they are like the sprinkles on top of Stevie's cake that he's made for us. You know,
and
what
they're
I mean?
very intentional. Like, there's like, like you can hear musically why they were placed there, why they were doing what they were doing.
Totally.
The production on this, like, so we can't overstate enough. And I know for a lot of people, they're like, production, what does that mean? Is that the producers going out and ordering sandwiches on the break or picking up drugs for the band? Just kidding. None of that ever
that's part
happens
of
in the studio. But no, but when we talk about production, it's actually like such an important, like as musicians, although we've both produced stuff as well, as musicians, we tend to, especially jazz musicians, we're like, we don't need to produce, we produce our own stuff. Well, to get to this level, you do need a producer or producers. And sometimes that can be the artist. Mm-hmm. That's the hardest way to do it sometimes, especially kind of being in the driver's seat, because you have to have a vision for it, you have to have objectivity. And so again, Stevie Wonder, another incredible talent that he had was that he had a vision, like to be able to put together a track like that and have it feel like that for humans around the world, you have to have a vision for that before it exists. Because he had to do each of those instruments, each of those lines, multiple vocals, multiple Moog lines, the bass, the tonto, the piano.
How do you mix that track?
And then you got to mix it afterwards and make all these disparate elements work. So
yeah.
All right, are we having fun yet?
Yeah, and it just keeps getting better because next up is Tuesday Heartbreak.
Yeah. Now we really start rocking along.
A feel-gooder.
A feel-gooder.
A feel-good breakup song.
Right. Yeah, and again, we've got, so Maybe Your Baby, pretty aggressive, lyrics, music, You and I, super romantic, beautiful ballad. Played, I mean, look, the first and the third track have been played at a lot of weddings.
Can you just
by
play,
me?
in case we don't hear it again, can you play the very end of You and I?
No, because that's going to be, damn, why are you giving that away?
Oh, no,
man?
no. If it's part of, let's keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
All right.
So 4, we've got Tuesday Heartbreak. This is all Stevie on everything, except a little bit of, well, not a little bit, but some great background vocals from Shirley Brewer and Denise Williams, who work with Stevie a bunch.
Yeah.
And then a gentleman from St. Louis, Missouri, Dave Sanborn.
Ever heard of him?
On alto saxophone. Let's check this out. Did you hear that little bit that Sanborn already played?
Tuesday Heartbreak
Come on now.
seem to be unfair.
He's 27 years old here.
Damn, every song is a banger, man.
Yeah.
Is this the greatest Clavinet album ever? It's gotta be.
That I think is right.
It's gotta be.
Where he's placed in the mix, Sanborn now, is so great too. Like he's
layered too, right?
He's the synth counterpoint line.
Yeah, totally. What a great sound here too.
Yeah. The wah on the is that wah on the clav?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then the other clav over there.
But just the use of the clavinet throughout the whole album. is genius.
Yeah. Let's say that's some intentional background. Oh, Sanborn doing Sanborn shit. I mean, like kind of pre-disco hi-hat groove there. And then okay, so interesting thing about this track, young David Sanborn, but a little bit older than Stevie, he was 27. Apparently he came in the studio, everything else was tracked, or at least all the rhythm section stuff, maybe not, I don't know about the background vocals. They brought in Dave Sanborn to play over it, and they're playing it for, obviously there's no music or anything, it's just there. They're playing it for Sanborn, and he's kind of playing along, and he's like, okay, the first go through, and then he's like, oh, can you play it again? And then he's like doing that second time through. And then after that, he's like, okay, I think I got it. I think I got, where you want me to play. And Stevie's like, no, that was great. We got it. And Sanborn was like, what do you mean? He's like, we got it. We got what we need. And if you think about it, check this out. The way it starts.
He's just figuring it out.
But what a great sound there.
That's awesome.
And look, they could have left that part out and just brought him later, like brought him in there. But like to get that spontaneity of the thing. Woo. And first of all, shout out Dave Sanborn, R.I.P. We lost a master recently, within the last couple of years. And I got to work with him a couple of times and hang with him.
Yeah.
And he was a very like Sanborn, people think, oh, he could come in and just do this. Exhibit A, right?
Yeah.
But he was also very like, wait, what is this chord? I remember like he called and texted me one time before we were doing this gig. We were just doing 3 tunes, and he was like, well, I want to know what chord are you going to play? Like he was very like wanted to know everything was happening. So the fact that he could just come in, do that, and then it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, huge connection here. Our very own Bob DeBoo on the bass did a few tours with Sanborn right before he passed away too, which I know was exhilarating for Bobby.
Absolutely. And then, kind of getting towards the middle of the record, I think this is a good sort of entry point to I don't want to say the meat of the record, because I feel like this is such a meaty record.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe your baby at number 2.
No, there's no, like I said, man, we'll get to it, but there's no filler on this album at all.
No,
Every song
no filler, all thriller.
Genius. That's why I'm saying this might be the most incredible collection of songs that an album could possibly have. Keep going, though. Keep going.
You've got it. You've got a bad girl.
The verse chord progression.
Oh. 2 voices on the Tonto. Oh.
Yeah.
Man, Stevie's busy AF with that Moog, man, bass, and it's so killin'.
Holding you back from my love, and you got it bad, girl.
Construction. It's like an architect. It's like, we're gonna put this here. Bam, let's do it.
When you insist on excluding
Triplets.
the tenderness that's in my kiss, and you got it bad, girl. You got it bad, girl.
No clav on this.
If you try to display
Oh, pop tunes can have bridges.
that will contradict itself, you will find your heart.
Okay, interesting thing right there. I'm going to start it right at the same place. Interesting thing there. Came to that bridge in the mix, we're talking about production on this, brought not only is he a little bit like kind of lower mid-range vocally, but they got that the synth line above his vocals actually in terms of the mix. Like that adjusted, which you think would be counterintuitive.
Like a star.
You know what I mean?
That
Like,
square wave thing, yeah.
Oh, it's so man, good. That's like riding that bad boy up. Oh, his voice.
Which an escape can be found.
Oh, you hear every little nuance. All right, so
yeah, the vocal performance is super subdued on this one. It just makes it. It's just so smooth.
I recommend everybody. I did this last night. Headphones, nice pair of cans.
Yeah, sure.
Listen to this record, man. I think the mix, this might be the best. I know. Do we have too many superlatives on the You'll Hear It podcast here?
Not for this one, man. That's what I'm saying. This is an all-timer. Go ahead.
I always think, but we could say it's the best album, but I think production, we always talk about like production is so all-encompassing. But just in terms of the sound, like Stevie's voice is so direct. RE20, that was what this was all recorded on, confirmed from the engineer. But the idea of like, there's not a lot of EQ on it. There's almost no reverb. It's very like dry, except like You and I has a very specific kind. Like there's musical reasons why it's changed. But if you listen to this with headphones, like how the choices of panning, middle, left, right, it's very simple conceptually, but it's genius, the execution. It's like when you really start to look at like how it was done, you're like, damn! It's kind of like, you just want to be like, yes.
You know what's catching me about this? You know what it reminds me of production-wise that I think might be surprising? Is it reminds me of like a little bit of Abbey Road and Let It Be, right? Those last couple of Beatles albums where they were going crazy with the production, they were adding some synthesizers, which were new. Even the White Album, you can say, but with the way that they were mixing things and putting things in different corners of the mix.
Yeah.
This is, I think, carrying the torch of that and then like adding the layer of Stevie, no shade on John, Paul, George, and Ringo, but Stevie's genius layered on top of that.
R.I.P. fifth Beatle.
George Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah. No shade on any of those guys, like obviously, but like Stevie's like another level of musical genius.
Yeah.
That when you throw that kind of production, I think, which is, like I said, on par with those later Beatles album, man, I just think it becomes this, and obviously in the 70s, we're going to see Stevie just like take this and run with it.
Yeah.
Ending with, obviously culminating with Songs in the Key of Life. But this to me, again, is up there.
Yeah.
With that, even.
Yeah. Secret Life of Plants, too. Let's not forget about that. A little bit of people see as the
lesser
side.
known.
Maybe even his peak in some ways.
Not as many hits, but incredible album.
But I think, when we look back at this historically, Robert Margouleff, Malcolm Cecil, Stevie Wonder, being in the studio there together with each of their roles, with their trust, with their, like, the production being about let Stevie be Stevie, yes, but also like having the tools there, having the, in terms of like the tonto, the synths, the drums are set. Like there's all these little things that you could say, oh yeah, we just grabbed that or whatever. But like there was an intentionality to it that was, no distractions, no iPhones, whatever. It was 1971. What the hell? But I mean, it's a really interesting thing.
You saying there was no iPhones in 1971?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Stevie would have had one. He was a technologist too. He is a technologist. Okay, so now we're going to move on to what's probably the most famous track on here.
For sure.
I believe there was like, what was there? Three. Superstition and You Are the Sunshine were definitely #1 hits. Yeah, because You Are the Sunshine was pop hit and easy listening. Superstition was R&B or whatever they called it at the time, and pop #1 as well.
So if you, and we can talk about this later with Quibble Bits, but if you think that You Are the Sunshine might be the weakest link,
I didn't say that.
You did say that.
I did
you
not
said
say
that to
that.
me
I didn't say that
many times.
Shh. Oh my God! Can we have podcaster confidentiality?
Well, I'm going to put this.
You can
out
tell
here
my
too.
blood type too.
I love Superstition. I think, but to me, like this is the one that stands out. It's like this is a pop song, form wise. I think it's great, but I think there's so many more interesting moments on this album. I think it's good to have this banger that's just like obviously like a summer dance hit, but like. Man.
Wow, we're going to reduce it to that, huh?
Well, no. Well, let's listen.
Okay.
Okay, it's great.
Woo.
It's pretty awesome. I think it's probably just because this is probably the most played one since this album came out. It's definitely aged better than You Are the Sunshine of My Life.
You said it.
Yeah, for sure.
Very superstitious, writings on the wall. Very superstitious, letters about to fall.
Oh, the layers, the levels.
13-month-old baby.
Oh, the Moog going along with it.
You know what? You're talking about wedding bands. I think my only thing with Superstition is I did have to play it that
This
summer.
is totally a wedding band song.
That summer before I moved to New York, I had to play this every one of those wedding band gigs.
Yeah.
When you believe
5,
in things
half step.
that you don't understand.
Half step to the 4. Oh, man, I love the sloppy mess in there. Okay.
Clav sound.
Then we're going
ridiculous.
into this.
Clav sound amazing on Superstition, though. The sticky clav on that is just friggin' ridiculous.
Okay, so this is some of the clavs on their own. Like, you can go on a deep dive of this and hear there's some really good breakdowns of each of the individual ones with Robert Margouleff. Yeah, if you want to do that. But this is some of the isolated clavs I got. They're so...
So another delay effect on it.
Yep.
Echo, like
This
an
is just
echoplex.
one of the 4.
Echoplex style.
Yep. The delay is almost like a half a beat.
Yeah.
It's definitely time, though, right?
It's so funny, you don't hear it in the mix.
No, and it doesn't sound this wet either.
No.
Ooh, baby.
Sam, Caleb, you guys ever hear this in there? Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Sam, like, I know this.
But check out the variation of it, too. Boo-doo, pop, pop. Like, he played these down.
These are 4 clavs?
No, I think these are all of them. Yeah, these are all of them.
Yeah, he's just playing.
Yeah. But the whole thing is like this. So, like, yeah, the whole thing is like he tracked it one thing at a time. And the thing was, this is confirmed too, he tracked the drums first. So he plays everything on here except the horns. Trevor Lawrence on tenor, Steve Madio on trumpet. Stevie's playing everything else.
Multi-talented Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. So he laid down the drums first, which is crazy because he had to think about like all those verses. I think it's like 3 verses maybe. The choruses, that transition thing at the end. He was just like playing it, like all that stuff in there. Here's some of the, do I have the drums? I hope I have the drums. Oh no, here it is. This is from the middle.
Hearing a squeak on the hi-hat stand? Yeah, that's a squeak.
Oh, that's some Zigaboo Model-esque drumming right there. Snare drum. I mean, all his fills are different.
Damn.
There's some kind of weird
greatest.
like gate or something on the hi-hat too that really makes it like what is that, a reverse gate? Like when there's something like, because it jumps out. Check it out. Like the hi-hat's louder than the snare.
Yeah, it's just up in the mix a lot.
Check out what he does here on the snare on this next fill. Oh!
Yeah, it's so funny. I don't.
That's
know
the
if
only
you
time
would-
he does it on the whole
I don't know if
track.
you would ever mix a drum kit like that these days.
Man, it's so
Really
individualistic and like it's so he played. It's not like they got that pattern and just looped like they would now.
Yeah.
The humanity of it, the tempo alters throughout it.
Yeah.
So, check this out. This is Robert Margouleff talking about this.
Steve's music, especially Steve's music, is the rubato. When we were first tracking at media, we thought, we didn't know Stevie's skill on the drums, right? So we had sort of a major guy, I don't remember which guy it was, Bernard Purdy, came in to try to play
You sure
on one
about
of
that?
Steve's songs. He couldn't do
A
it.
great Motown drummer.
Yeah, he couldn't do it.
He
Why?
couldn't do it.
No, he couldn't because the song was speeding up and slowing down, and he didn't know where it was.
Right.
Right.
Oh, I see. But Steve,
Knew where it was.
because he'd hear the song while he was playing the drums, right?
Right.
So he would put the drums down with no other parts. Is that true?
Superstition, he played the drums first,
All the way through.
all the way through.
But he knew the song.
Twice.
He knew what the song was.
Yes.
And
it
you
was
guys
in his
knew?
head.
Did you guys know the song?
No, had no idea.
You just listening to him put this thing down
He
and
said, let's make a funky bass sound. That was the first thing out of his mouth.
Yeah, he finished. You can hear it on one. I don't have the stem on here. As soon as he finished at the end of the drums, he's like, let's hit some funky bass now. And check this out. This is the funky bass on Superstition. The Moog.
Yeah.
He said, yeah.
Dang.
Woo. The variation of it.
This gets kind of buried in the mix. Man, we got to make a record with with a Moog bass. No offense, Bob. We got to do that.
Man, it's so great. And then like when he starts like the whole thing, he did the drums first, then he came back and did the bass along with the drums, the funky bass.
Yeah.
I think mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
So fun. And then the vocals, of course, doubled,
Writings on the wall.
but not
Very superstitious.
but different vocals. You know, not like they do
Letters about to fall.
where they take the same one and duplicate it. It's not that.
No.
13-month-old baby.
Woo.
Broke the looking glass.
Killing.
7 years of bad luck. Your good things in your past.
Oh man, his rhythmic attenuation.
When you believe in things that you don't understand and you suffer.
Oh.
Superstition ain't the way.
It's amazing.
Man.
Yeah.
Incredible. All right. I mean, like I said, Superstition, best track on the album.
Superstition.
Man, this is like
Wash your face and hands.
and then like, you know, it's so much intentionality between when he goes to doubling versus just one. It's very rarely more than two. But with those vocals, man, and then he goes back to one, like stuff that we do in arranging where you double something and then you'll have it harmony. But he had such a vision for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like intentional, but improvisatory too. I mean, like I don't even want to imitate. Like, but his like hitting those pitch on those minor pentatonics and those blues notes and stuff, and then the phrasing, and then his rhythm. His rhythm is like what really pulls it all together.
The last 442's album, I did a lot of singing and I did a lot of doubling like this, but I was so precious to try to like get it, like to just try to sing the exact same line. It's so funny to hear in like one of Stevie's biggest hits. He's really not that precious about it. He's going away from the double. You know what I mean? He's splitting those things at the end of the lines. It's incredible.
Yeah. Now we would be remiss if we didn't mention the Jeff Beck connection on Superstition, because Jeff Beck was in the studio for part of this, and originally Stevie had written this and was going to give it to Jeff Beck to use on a record or whatever. And apparently, there's been a lot of misinformation about it. Some people are like, the legend was that like Stevie then said, no, I want to do it for myself, and took it back like and reneged on the deal, which is not true, because Robert and Malcolm talked about this at various times. They said they convinced him. They're like, no, you got to do it. You've got the vibe on this. You got to record it. So Stevie was like, okay. Jeff Beck also recorded it.
Yeah.
Like a year later, and it wasn't as big of a hit, but he had some kind of a hit on it or whatever.
Well, how can you beat this one?
Yeah. But supposedly, well, let's hear Jeff Beck talk about this, because he was around then, and this apparently is verified actually happened. This is Jeff Beck.
Motown had agreed with me playing on Stevie's talking book. He went off for lunch. And I grabbed the opportunity of sitting behind Cozy Powell's drum kit. I started playing the only lick I knew. In comes Stevie, and he shouts out, "Don't stop." And I said, "Stevie, it's Jeff. It's Jeff. I don't play the drums." He said, "Yes, you do." And then he started playing the band, you know, the back, 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 back. And I went, "Oh my God, I'm just playing the Stevie Wonder."
We got a little bit of Peter's famous British accent. That was great.
Well, he said talking. What did he say? Forget it.
Okay,
the only other
want to hear. We all
we don't.
wanna
No, we
hear.
don't. The only other part we're missing here in terms of that we haven't played. Well, we played the drums, we played the clavs, vocals, the Moog bass. How about a little horns? That's a dry, direct horn sound, isn't it?
Come on now.
Yeah, so that's all the pieces that go together.
So
but again, the
good.
production, the concept is Stevie and the, you know, I mean, just, yeah. Okay. Now, number 7. Should we go ahead and jump? This is actually my Desert Island track. Should I call it as such?
Might be the greatest, as far as like albums go, this also might be just one of the greatest track orders ever. Because what do you follow Superstition with? You follow it with one of the most beautiful, poignant songs of the early 70s.
Yeah, and actually, and now we're getting to some of his, I hate to say political lyrics and stuff, but just, what do we call it?
Live in the house
Yeah, just so topical, still for today, unfortunately. Okay, so, and also, I'm not going to give you the good transition because we don't have it on the iPad, but on the album, I believe, as I recall, this flows right into, it's one of the best segues between tracks
It
ever.
happens seamlessly.
Seamlessly.
Yeah.
But this is Big Brother, track number 7.
Can you still hear the drums of Superstition
Yes.
fading down?
Oh, harmonica.
Oh, you forgot Stevie played harmonica, huh?
He's playing percussion on this.
You say that you
Can you stop and start over?
Yeah.
So I want like something to listen for is
Yeah.
like, and this is why I was saying like this is the greatest clavinet album hands down. So we just went from that real sticky, delayed clavinet of
Yeah.
Superstition, super funky, and then listen to what he does here. The very next track, it becomes almost like a finger-picked
Sounds like a
acoustic
guitar.
guitar. Yeah,
Like
and
a
it's
dry guitar. That's what I always thought it
beautiful,
was.
Sustained.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, that's great. And the Moog bass, super simple this time.
Your name is Big Brother. You say that you are watching me on the telly.
This is a blues, by the way. Blues form. 1 to 4.
We go nowhere.
Back to 1.
Your name is Big Brother. You say that you're tired of me protesting. Children dying every day.
5.
My name is nobody, but I can't wait to see your face inside my door. Oh.
Man, it's so great.
Emotional, man. It's
And you've got there, you've got a lot of things happening, but in terms of like melodies, there's 3 different things. There's the main melody, right? And then you got boom, 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 boom.
The root movement.
Boom.
Yep.
Right, the root movement, which is, man, it's like a different instrument. It's almost like an acoustic bass or something. But then he'll go up and then he plays do, 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 boo, boo. He's playing a 10th below on that Moog at that part.
going down when he goes to the 4 chord. Boom, 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 boom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you have that melodic thing, you've got this melody, but then you've got the harmonica. Like that's the bird floating up here, improvising above it. So it's 3 things. Now, continuing on here, we're going to get some more added slowly.
Your name is Big Brother.
Harmonica playing is
Man,
ridiculously
every
good.
fill
Me all in your notebook,
going up high.
writing it down every day. Your name is your name is
Fourth voice. Second vocal.
If you vote me in as a president of your soul.
President of your soul. Vote me in as the president. President of your soul.
I live in the ghetto. You just come to visit me round election time.
Oh. Oh, check out, man, talking about production, check out before he comes in. This is something I hate. They've taken this away for years. The breath.
Oh, yeah.
Check it out when he goes,
Humans breathe.
yeah. Right here. Oh.
Can we play this one out? This one has one of the greatest apexes, too.
Oh, yeah. Just make sure it's not one of the, okay.
Dang.
I live in the ghetto, but someday I will move on my feet to the other side.
Oh. Yeah, we still got a minute of just,
My name is secluded.
yeah. Yes.
We live in a house the size of a matchbox. Roaches live with us wall to wall. You've killed all our leaves. does. I don't even have to do nothing to you. You cause your own country to fall.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like simultaneously, one of the best vocal performances, an incredibly written song, poignant lyrics, amazing production, and then on top of it all, like world-class level improvisation on the harmonica happening throughout the whole piece. Like
One of the
throughout
greatest
the whole
harmonica improvised blues solos
it's just
ever.
like everything he plays is something to study.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just
And think about-
he's 21 years old. It's insane.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing about production too with this, like all that great stuff, that could be it could be too much.
Yeah.
It would be like how does a great chef take all these different things and not just shove it down your throat? Like how that is all presented and coexists in this beautiful track. I think that this is the apex of the record. And it's number 7. I mean, like where it lies on the record makes sense. It's a perfectly crafted record. Sue me. I think this is a perfectly crafted.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And that's the one track. Is that the only track? Oh no, You and I also. That's just all Stevie. The other thing is like for it to feel so I never knew until years later from when I first heard this record that Stevie was playing all the instruments on it. I don't remember when. I mean, I learned it relatively early on, but there was a time like for it to sound like his ability to have a vision in terms of what's going to be added on. Like when he's in there tracking, like he has to imagine what else is going to be in there as he's creating that part. The last part, he can kind of fit in with the whole thing, which maybe the harmonica, who knows? But I mean, regardless, it's like you're looking at it like, okay, I know what this is going to be.
Yeah.
But then he maintains that improvisatory feel to it.
Let's keep in mind too, this is like pre-Pro Tools, pre-computers involved, besides the Moogs involved.
Right.
But pre all of that stuff where you're cutting tape, right? Like to edit things.
Yeah.
Like you're
2-inch,
multi-tracking and there's degradation. And so you don't have like this unlimited amount of space and time to do everything you want to do and move things over by this.
Can't do anything.
You really can't on
Yeah.
this. Like you have to be able to just bring it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to also be able to like let things be and lie as they are. And it's these like when you hear I love when you play the stems from Superstitions because you can hear these little things that just aren't perfect, but they're human and they're beautiful. They're actually just like the best part about it. And I think when you hear like old guys complain like, music's too sterile these days or whatever, that's kind of what we're talking about a little bit. And that's, which isn't true actually, because a lot of the best artists even today let those things in their music.
Yeah.
But it's just so easy these days to make everything perfect. So when you hear mediocre musicians, it's usually perfect.
Right.
And it's like, this sucks because I can just hear you just like using a computer to make everything just line up perfectly and take all your breaths out and everything. It's just ridiculous. Like it just sounds like let's just let AI do it.
Right.
AI probably is putting in like breath noises from Stevie because they're, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like, I don't know, man. That's my favorite shit.
Was this the apex moment, or at least like kind of the apex period for technology serving art instead of maybe what we're at for some time now where art is having to serve technology?
I think this is an apex of an artist using technology in the best possible ways. I think it still happens, before this, since this, even currently, there are people who are just like real visionaries of seeing how technology can make art better.
Shout out Drake.
Well, no. But Stevie at the time caught something. That's what I was saying. Like, it's like his ears are so big that he must have heard Let It Be and been like, oh, I can make that better. Like, I can do that, but it's going to be better.
Right.
Like how they're approaching the production of these things.
Right.
And like, he was right. And then like heard a Moog somewhere, heard a synthesizer from who knows where, and was like, oh, I know exactly what I would do with that. And there are people who are still doing that and still use technology to like incredible effect for art. And I think Stevie just was one of these people. First of all, he's young here, so he doesn't know what he can't do, and he's like interested in the technology of the day. There's no limitations. He doesn't think it's bullshit or it's like, oh, that's cheating or whatever. He has no concept because he's 21. Which is what we need when we're trying to push art forward, is young people who are like, yeah, I don't care about your rules that you abide by.
Right.
I'm going to make my own rules. He's doing that here. And then he just happens to be one of the great musical minds of the past 500 years.
And he had these two enablers there in the studio that were just like, they recognized his genius and were like, okay, we're going to make sure that as much of this gets down on tape, gets recorded beautifully, and like it became a collaborative thing. But I think this thing of like Stevie saying, well, maybe the guardrails of technology, the limitations, like he didn't think it was a limitation. He was just like, oh my God, now I can like create multiple voice polyphony with a couple, like 4 voices on. And now we're like, that's stupid. My iPhone can do 1,000 voices. But I mean, so he saw it as limitless. But the actual barriers, the guardrails of technology at the time, for instance, with the Moog bass, like they had to, part of the thing that they did was they changed how the portamento, which is how you control the phrasing, so it doesn't just sound boom, 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 so that every note
slides between the notes.
It slides because the volume, I believe, couldn't be changed really outside of using the volume control. Like you couldn't affect the sound of it. But with it, so it was like some people use the ribbon thing at the top, but it would be finicky or something. Yeah. So they had it on one of the dials as part of the TONTO system. And like, so as he's playing, he's adjusting it there, and he kind of learned how to do that by feel. Like kind of created
He's articulating with it.
But like you have to have a vision for how you want it to sound, because I will take you back to this. It starts with just that, right? But that burn, like you don't just do that. Yeah. Like that has to be, like you have to feel that and hear that. And so these were actually kind of crude instruments still in a way. It was the most advanced thing anywhere. Yeah. And what he was doing with it, obviously, Chick Corea, Joe Zawinul, Herbie Hancock, other people right around that time and stuff. Sure. But this was early days with being able to like take a vision of like, wait, can we make it sound like this? Not just but like a little bit of vibe with it too.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Okay, we're going to fly.
It just keeps getting better.
It does keep getting better. We're going to kind of fly through this because I do want to get to our categories. But this is Blame It on the Sun. This is, yeah, you're right. I mean, can we say it gets better than Big Brother, though?
I mean,
it's very good.
There's no better or worse, but this is a banger. This is an all-timer.
Yeah. And this is interesting, too. He's back at some piano, which he hasn't been at it for a while.
I just want to hear when the first chorus kicks in. It's one of the great moments on this album.
Oh, it is. Yeah. The movement to it, the lift.
16th notes all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It seems to love.
I like that hi-hat.
Where is my spirit? I'm nowhere near it. Oh yes, my love has gone.
Question and then the answer. Float.
But I'll blame it on the sun. The sun that didn't shine.
16th.
Yeah.
I'll blame it
Background
on
vocals.
Choir. It's a choir.
I'll blame it
Incredible.
on the tide.
All right, and then next, after this,
I don't want to stop. Okay. Yeah.
after Blame It on the Sun, which is just incredible start to finish, we got Looking for Another Pure Love, another sort of slowish song. It's interesting that he ends with basically like 4 slowish songs in a row.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like it's losing energy because there's some really interesting moments.
No, I think it has a great, like, if you look at Superstition, I think a lot of people would look at that as kind of the
energetic
peak. But I think Big Brother is the spiritual peak of this record, and like the real, which is a perfect placement. And then from there, it's not that it's trailing off, but it's kind of like once you've had that intense main chorus, pulling back a little bit. Although, I mean, lyrically and stuff, this is still very intense in a lot of ways, but it just, I don't know, it just has a flow that feels right. This is definitely harkening back to track 1, Sunshine in My Life.
Boom, boom, boom,
Oh,
boom, boom.
Man,
a little bit of Big Brother. No, the next one is a little bit of Big Brother. But
I might start calling this sonically. This is the hi-hat album.
The hi-hat album. It's the hi-hat clav album.
The hi-hat, I love it.
Yeah.
And it's and because there's so many interesting things with transitions and like groove placements later on in the tracks, like we just heard on Blame It on the Sun, that really being like clued into that hi-hat. I think most people, engineers, would listen to it now and be like, what the hell is that gate? It's got to be a gate or something. But it's like, they would be like, fix that.
I don't know if it's a gate. I think it's just up in the mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like that's a gate. It's just an open gate.
Correct. A gate cuts it off.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's the reverse gate called?
Opens it up. I don't know. This is the
Engineer Sam's in there just like covering
I know,
his face.
I know.
Here, let's talk about gates. You want us to talk about sawtooth sounds? Oh, right, this chord, right?
Never a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Beck on guitar here.
Jeff's got a nice dry solo on this.
Never
A little bit of foreshadowing there.
on my mind. All my days before today were happy and secure until your phone call.
Also, Buzz fighting.
Telling
Howard Buzz fighting is on electric guitar. There's two guitars.
me
Get it, Buzz.
Feet fighting. Sorry. Oh, pull back. Stay on the sus chord. Oh, that's a chorus. Then resolve it.
Let's do it again.
This is the chorus, right? Yeah, this is the chorus.
I'm looking for another pure love in my
You heard Stevie talking there?
We got to do it, Jeff, coming up.
Yeah. He was already talking there.
Do it, Jeff.
Yeah, do it, Jeff.
Killin. Do it, Jeff.
Wheel of fate has turned. I'm
But you know, too, it's such an interesting thing here in Stevie, like, you know, writings on the wall. Like, he has so many things on here that are like minor pentatonic blues bass, and then this do 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 major scale to minor, which becomes like that four. I mean, like, he has so many, like, he understands harmony and melody, the interaction between those at a very high level.
You don't say.
Yes.
Who's Stevie Wonder?
No, but people will be like, oh, he can sing great. He can play drums great. He's funny. He does accents.
He's the greatest.
But, and like,
He is funny.
he has great.
He's legitimately funny. He's a funny person.
See, you're doing it. Why you got to segment his talent? Why can't he be a harmonically funny guy?
He's all these things, man.
But I mean, but harmony and melody, there's a lot of people, like, obviously he's got great harmony to his tunes, but the interaction between melody and harmony, that's when you go next level, okay? There's levels to the game.
Peter Martin, 2025.
There's levels to the game. Stevie Wonder is at the top. All right, are we at track number 10?
This is it.
Okay.
Great ender.
Yes.
Great
And
ending.
just Stevie on this one, too. Epic. It's kind of an epic ending, right? This has got some Beatlesque kind of a sound to it.
Yeah, cinematic. Used in High Fidelity, I believe. John Cusack movie.
Oh, right.
High Fidelity
Yep.
at the end.
Shattered dreams.
It's a real vocal tour de force.
Here am I encased inside hollow
Sweeping
shell.
pad bass.
Yeah. Moog sitting there.
Life began.
Mess with the volume, swelling with it.
And was done. Now I stare into
This had to be the drums track last on this one. You can tell.
the many sounds that meet our ears, the sights our eyes behold.
Oh.
Will open up our merging hearts and feed our empty souls.
And then, you know, lyrically, very optimistic ending.
I believe when I fall in love with you, it won't be forever.
Incredible.
I believe when
This is a rock song, right?
It's an anthem.
It's a rock anthem.
forever without despair.
Echoes of Queen.
Incredible.
We will
Yeah.
share
Incredible.
in the joys of care.
Everything is different every time. I love it. Like, it comes back to the verse, like the bass gets a little bit more I mean,
Yeah, he's
a
playing.
little bit-
He's really just playing. He's having fun, man. There's a lot of joy in all of these takes.
Yeah.
That's what's so fun about hearing him play all these instruments. It's like nobody's there's like no ego because he's just playing for himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's supporting himself, doing what he wants to do, what he feels is right for the song. It's fun.
Yeah, and if you
really fun.
And if you know that he's playing everything, you find that out later, that's great. But if you don't know it, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's like, wow, what a great band. And
It's
then
still
people are shocked when they're like, no, that was all him. Or how
incredible.
could you do that? You know?
Let's get to some categories, Peter.
Yes, sir.
What's your Desert Island track for this one?
Big Brother. We listen to it. We listen
call.
to everything.
It's a great call.
I mean, like, I really feel like that's the spiritual center of this record.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I have, and I truly mean this.
Yep.
Dealer's choice.
Okay.
If you send me with any of these 10 tracks, I'm good. Like the whole album to me is so great, and you send me on a desert island with anything.
So Adam Manis, 2025, Cop Out. Got it.
That's right. I will not plant a flag. Apex moment.
Flagless.
What do you got for Apex?
Okay,
moment?
this is, we didn't play this before because I wanted to wait on it.
Okay.
It's the ending to You and I. There's obviously a lot of things that I could cop out like you, but this is just incredible.
I am not a cop out.
Okay, we're going to start at around 3:34 according to my notes. We're just going to listen out to the end.
This is a great call by
Q
you.
dominant.
Great call by you.
The way he's playing piano.
Come on, Stevie.
There's levels, right? Triplet. Oh, and this next note here, which is the actual. Oh! Oh.
What? Nobody's doing that.
Listen to how he's singing.
So I'm saying every other pop star on the planet, including huge acts of this time, must have been like, "What the hell, man?
know.
Why?
What am I gonna?
What can I
go
do
up there?
with that?"
Yeah, and I mean, too, everybody thinks that that's like it has the emotional feeling. Normally, you'd have to, go up a half step.
Yeah.
You'd have to. What do you call that? Ascending, transposing? No,
Modulate.
modulate.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it feels like it modulates without modulating.
All right, my apex moment. I'm gonna go back to Maybe Your Baby, and I'm gonna go to the end as well.
Oh, the end is killing. Oh, clav. Oh yeah, Ray Parker.
So the little baby voice that he's got,
That's all Stevie.
he's slowly building it up through here. I'm a little boy. Hold on, we gotta hear that part. He says, "I'm a little boy."
I'm a little boy.
They pull that up in
All these improvisations vocally here. All the layers.
This reminds me of that Meters track where it got all the crazy fun.
This is like, by the way, there's like 3.5 minutes of this at the end of this track.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Maybe your baby done.
but you gotta have the build up.
Other plans.
This is a 2-5-1-4 progression, by the way.
Ray Parker, by the way, killing. Here's where it starts. On the tonic.
Oh.
Come on.
That's church.
Here's on that dominant 7 right there. One of the greatest moments in musical history. When he changes that note down, it's one of the greatest moments of my life. That when he's just hanging out there in church on the thing, and he just, "She'll come back tomorrow." That part there, every time chills. Every time chills. Every time out of my seat.
Oh, so
Bespoke playlist, Tyler. What do you got?
I've got wonderful. Get it? Stevie plays it all.
Okay, it's Peter with the ChatGPT data. I'm going with check this one out, and this is
I don't
pretty
have
creative.
ChatGPT, by the way.
I'm going ready.
Yeah.
Music explored.
Oh, okay.
Because it's so musical.
How many times can you cop out in one episode?
Okay, great. Up next, what do you got?
Well, I got the obvious would be Intervisions.
Yeah.
It's literally next. But we could maybe look at a little bit of, I don't know, what's going on Marvin Gaye. I would want to hear that after this and then maybe go to Intervisions. That would be fun. But then also we can go to some inspirations from like when I was like a young preteen that kind of connected me not only with Stevie's music of that time, but what I realized later on was going back to this, Prince's Purple Rain. I think Purple Rain, I think Prince is just hugely, obviously, influenced from this time period. And then also D'Angelo Voodoo, famously recorded at Electric Lady Studios as well. So that's a nice little kind of connection there.
I think Prince's Purple Rain is. I was actually going to say Prince's self-title.
Oh, the one with the
78, yeah, where he's just like with
no
the
shirt.
hair and the long hair and the no shirt.
Yeah, that's true. That's
just from like young genius perspective.
Yep.
That's a great call.
Yep.
Quibble bits. What do you got?
So, okay, you alluded to this earlier. Thanks a lot, Captain Obvious. You are the sunshine of. Okay, so I love this track in terms of how it sits on this record, how it starts, all the things that we talked about. So I have no quibble bits with it in terms of that. On its own, as a tune co-opted by jazz players in lounges around the world, I have a little bit of a. I don't think it's that strong of a song for that.
Disagree. Hard pass. Hard pass on this take.
Well, you know what? We can't all be right. Only I can be right. No, it's just not my favorite Stevie tune. That's what I mean. I think it fits within this fine. So I don't even know if that's a quibble bit. It's just not my favorite Stevie
My
tune.
only quibble bit
I don't think it's weak.
My quibble bit is I'm quibbling with your quibble bit on You Are the Sunshine. Snobometer, what do you got?
Well, I mean, I have it at 5 because, I mean...
I have it at 5 also.
Okay, good. Yeah, because it's a genius record, but everybody knows it.
Yeah. Is it better than KOB?
You know what? I'm changing because you've been making fun of me saying equal. I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, you've had like 6 equals in a row.
I'm going to say yes.
I'm also saying yes, it is better.
Oh, come on. That's
buddy,
how we do it.
Right. Accoutrements.
I have 9, but I might change this to 10.
Yeah, I have 10. I think
because I don't think it could be
beautiful.
any better. It's so iconic. It began this color palette of the next 3. I think Music of My Mind was a different color palette, but these next 3 records, Talking Book, Intervisions, and
Gorgeous.
Fulfilling This.
Yeah, this brownness,
and they all use the same.
Brown mustards, all that stuff. Peter, thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Incredible album.
Thank you, Stevie
Thank you
Wonder.
all for listening.
Steve Wonder.
Thank you, Stevie Wonder, for everything, for real, for so many countless moments. I'll leave a comment, by the way.
You know what? I wasn't going to do this, but maybe we'll throw up a little picture of myself, the missus, and Mr. Stevie Wonder. Can we put that photograph up? I don't even, that'll be for another podcast. I'll tell that story of that night. That was at 1:30 a.m.
Don't forget to leave a comment on YouTube or leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcast. This is we got a comment on our Louis Armstrong episode from a couple weeks ago from friend of the pod, Andy Tishner, who's a legendary trumpet player here in St. Louis, says, thank you. I've been really loving the pod and thrilled you guys did one on Louis, talking about Louis Armstrong.
Yes.
He's the greatest and one of the main reasons I picked up a trumpet back in 1986 to try to learn it. You guys have got me back on a Louis listening kick, not like I ever stray very far from him. So thank you. Your recording picks were spot on. That's Peter. Hearing pops on those old tracks.
Yeah, I put a blindfold on and started throwing at a dartboard. That was easy.
He sounds like he's from some future century. This is some of the rarest music to me. It makes me smile, tap my foot, make lots of stank faces, and weep at the sheer greatness of it all. I'm always listening to different kinds of music, but I always come back home to Louis. Your guys' pod has reminded me not just turn on music all the time, but to spend time listening deeply. So thank you for that. Thank you, Andy. Andy's an incredible trumpet player here in St. Louis.
What a great comment, man.
Really
Thank you.
Means a lot coming from you, buddy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, Nerd Nook. So first of all, shout out Open Studio. Shout out Open Studio Pro.
Yep.
If you're interested in that program, openstudiojazz.com/pro, where we have live classes 6 days a week.
That's right.
And we have an incredible archive. We have the #1 music learning community, music appreciation community on the interwebs from around the world. 121 countries we have members.
Right.
But we do a little thing called the Nerd Nook almost every week.
Every week.
Every week. We do it every week. And you know what? I don't even know which. Are you set on? Basically, what we do, we just do a little breakdown of something that we played or one of the tunes as a little behind the scenes thing. So check that out.
Yeah.
And you can start a free trial.
That's
Free
right.
trial. OpenStudioJazz.com. Until next time.
You'll hear it.